Welcome back to LeBruary podcast. LeBron James tweeted the sort of time passing emoji. What do you call those? Hourglasses.
Yep.
And so now we have to do the insane gimmick that is breaking down a potential LeBron trade for all 29 teams that are not the Los Angeles Lakers. Today I'm joined by Max Klotz, my lovely co-host, and former guest. I can't believe we let him back into Zoom. Andy Gottnick, assistant coach at Muhlenberg College. Go Mules.
It's a pleasure to be back. Go Mules. Thanks for having me.
Let's do it.
Andy's a very despondent Nets fan. We'll get to the Nets at some point in this pod, but we can't open there. Nobody will keep listening. So first, we're starting with a team that actually has more than enough to trade for LeBron. Boston Celtics. We're going to go from top to bottom of the standings, east then west. The Boston Celtics. Is there a LeBron trade? Who says no?
I am going off hot to start. LeBron and Reeves for Tatum and Brown. I know what Drew wants to say but won't say. But if you put LeBron and Reeves, a dynamic Western Conference Finals duo last year, with that supporting cast of Holiday, of Kristaps, of other guys off the bench, and Pritchard, Horford, I kind of like that team.
Okay. So before we get really deep into this, I should say I wanted to add at the top, LeBron is now 39 years old in 42 days. Okay. He's making 47.6 million this year, and he has a player option next year for 51.4 million. He very well could become the first 39-year-old in NBA history to turn down 51 million because LeBron's getting a lot of dollars wherever he goes. Okay. We're going to be talking about trades that might not financially make complete sense, but like, obviously, you know, we're assuming that teams are throwing in other contracts. So these are all conceivable deals, whether or not they'd happen. Okay. So LeBron and Reeves for Tatum and Brown. We're just going to move on from that bullshit. Max, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I don't think there's any universe in which the Celtics would trade Tatum. But a LeBron for Jaylen Brown and Al Horford deal does basically work. You have to throw in a little bit more filler from the Boston side, but that is a Boston saying we can win 2 in a row titles if we take Jaylen Brown out and swap in LeBron James. Like, I still don't think, I think they look at their team and they're like, we have the most talented team in the league already. We don't want to mess with that for a guy who, when you're 39, like it can end at any point. But at the same time, if you swap out Jaylen Brown for LeBron James right now, I would pick him to comfortably win the championship this year. So maybe it's a gamble you have to make.
Doing that move as well gives the Celtics, instead of Tatum taking a last second step back 3, it's LeBron taking a last second step back 3, which we've seen more success in, let's just say.
Yeah, it's true. I was trying to think if there's like any way to do it without Tatum, because Tatum's just not getting traded. Let's move on. Milwaukee Bucks. So this would be some version of Dame for LeBron. Obviously the Bucks aren't trading Giannis, and the Bucks just don't have enough other stuff. Like the Lakers aren't trading LeBron for Middleton and everything else they have. So Dame for LeBron, who says no?
Lakers say no.
Lakers say no.
Correct. All right, we're moving along. 20.
No, I will say Dame and AD is a match made in heaven, but the Lakers say no.
Agreed. New York Knicks. I think the Lakers are just, LeBron's been so good at age 39. Like it feels like he got better like from last year or from 2 years ago maybe. But that's also partially just because the Lakers have been playing more meaningful games since the Lonzo, BI, Josh Hart days. But man, would I love to see those guys on the same team again. For the Knicks, obviously, they're not going to trade for LeBron if they have to give up Brunson. So it's pretty much everything else. It's, Hart, DiVincenzo, Randall, Mitchell Robinson. Like it's just pick all your players. And
That's too much
can I
money.
just say can I just say for the whole team, it's a no. The Knicks are not a candidate for a LeBron trade.
Well,
Even and obviously like that's kind of the gist of the day. No, like LeBron will most likely not be traded, but there are teams that we're going to talk about that are actually interesting, fun, potential trades that could happen if LeBron really wanted them to.
given the fact that LeBron's on an expiring contract, I think the Knicks are definitely a LeBron trade team.
Okay.
I think
First blood.
LeBron, even though he's probably the second or first greatest player of all time, he's not going to be going for like 3 or 4 first round picks on an expiring contract where he can really dictate his destination. And something like Randall, whatever makes the money work, Fournier, you could do Josh Hart. He's got a big deal as well. The Knicks have a lot of really tradable contracts.
How many picks you got, Spike Lee?
2 first round picks of ours, and let's say Dallas's pick this year or something like that. You get 3 first round picks, Julius Randle. Knicks get LeBron, and they put him into the Julius Randle spot alongside this wonderful ecosystem they've cooked up over the last month. And we're winning a championship. Let's go.
And we've also seen Brunson thrive next to Luka. That's a good sign. Like Brunson can play with a ball dominant superstar is what I'm trying to say. Andy, what's up?
Max, I know this breaks your heart, but I think Grimes has to be in there.
Yeah, there it is. He's
Take him.
The next Terrence man. And I just want to say this before we move on to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are actually going to have LeBron in 1 month. Quentin Grimes should stay a Knick. You don't trade a guy on a great contract who's a good 3-and-D player. Max's brother texted me today, like, should the Knicks go get Bruce Brown? I'm like, I've said this before on the pod. Bruce Brown makes every team in the league better, but he's also making north of 20 million. And if you can just keep Quentin Grimes in that role, like, I don't see why they're in a rush to get rid of him. Tibbs, you've done a great job. Make it work with QG. All right. The Lakers say no to the Knicks, but the Knicks do have obviously the contracts to get there. Obviously, the Lakers say no to that one. Cleveland.
This is for you.
This is where it gets interesting. This is the first team we've gotten to that is not just possible. It's like it's this is for real. Okay. So we all like Garland more than Mitchell, especially for the contract. Mitchell's been balling out. It's probably like a Mitchell and Jarrett type deal, right? Something like that.
I found one, and I know that we're all Mobley fans. There's one more you can do, and this is a lot of names. Mobley, Okoro, LeVert, Niang, and Amani Bates gets back into the news in this trade. And some picks. As big of a fan of Mobley as I am, you put LeBron on that team with Garland still, with Mitchell still, with Allen as a rim running big. Find a buyout shooter to come in to replace LeVert and Niang there. Sorry to see Amani go. He's the face of the trade, but would you say no to that?
Plus, I mean, we've seen LeBron dominate the Thunder in the finals before, so okay, that was skipped. That was a joke that skipped a few steps. Max, what's up?
It's not a deal that's like in line with the way the Lakers do business, but Mobley and picks for a 39-year-old LeBron in a vacuum is objectively tremendous value. And I think, if pick a random team, if Sacramento had LeBron in this situation and they were presented with that offer, you take that 10 times out of 10 because it's the Lakers and like they're more of like a star hunting team. They're not a youth team, things like that. Mobley Davis isn't a great fit, but that is tremendous value for. Are you rerouting Davis somewhere? Is that what that hand was, Andy?
I'm rerouting Davis. Will be in other trades coming out later.
Okay.
The Lakers are a star hunting team, but if we're having a podcast talking about trading LeBron, we're taking a step back on that star hunting day to the Lakers for a bit. So why not go get a young guy who I know all 3 of us love, I know who all of the media loves, in Mobley, then go get Davis somewhere else, get another young guy or some more picks, and rebuild with a great foundation that you didn't have the day before.
Hometown kid.
We're on the same page. Yep. California kid.
Yes.
Mobley's an awesome player. This is the Cavs saying we think we can win a title if we go get LeBron.
They
And
can.
forget the fit with AD. Like AD's going somewhere else if you make a deal like that. And in a lot of these potential LeBron trades, like AD's maybe not staying a Laker. So that goes without saying. But also AD mentoring Evan Mobley, that's great. He'll never learn to shoot. Okay. Philadelphia 76ers. I'm so juiced right now. This is the one that Andy won't shut up about. Andy's been trying to trade Embiid for LeBron for about 72 hours now. And I just the Embiid tore his meniscus. Embiid might be less healthy at 30 or whatever he is than LeBron is at 39.
Yeah.
But the Sixers aren't trading the best regular season player in the league.
The Sixers are not doing this. And me wanting to trade Embiid for LeBron is not because of any anti-Embiid takes that may come by later.
That's a lie. Go.
It is because I want to have LeBron with a primary ball handler who can score and create his own shot in Maxey. So I have a 4-way trade coming.
Oh my God.
I'm going to list out the names very slowly.
All right.
The Sixers are getting LeBron, Nicholas Claxton, Royce O'Neal, Olynyk, and Dorian Finney-Smith.
Oh my God.
So the Sixers now have LeBron, Maxey, a rim running big in Clax, 3-and-D wing in Royce and DFS, and a stretch big in Olynyk. Lakers are getting Embiid. That's all you get. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
Nets are getting the Sixers picks from the Clippers, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and Jordan Clarkson for salary. And the Jazz are getting Tobias Harris and the Lakers picks. So Jazz get picks, which they need. Nets gets picks, which we all know they need. Lakers get Embiid, which they will then turn him into Garland, but we'll get to that later.
And guess what? Nobody likes to talk about it, but Boogie Cousins and AD were coexisting pretty well in New Orleans before Boogie got hurt. So maybe that's a machination where AD might stay a Laker. But yeah, the Sixers say no because you just can't trade this version of Embiid for a 39-year-old, even if he's the GOAT of the sport. Okay. But thank you. Thank you. You are the Michelangelo of the trade machine. All right. 6th seed in the East, Indiana Pacers. I feel like this is a Siakam and stuff. Siakam, Mathurin, whichever young guys the Lakers are most interested in. If Halliburton gets healthy this year, you put Halliburton and LeBron together. I mean, that is passing genius, a passing genius duo like maybe we've never seen before.
Yeah, we get the Wade picture recreated.
Yes, sir.
But
question about the Pacer trade.
Yeah.
If you're only allowed to give up 2 of your young guys in Mathurin, Nembhard, and Jarris Walker, which 2 do you give up?
Bye, Jarris. It's been fun.
Jarris.
I hope you enjoyed our G League coaching staff.
Yeah.
It's Jarris for me.
Jarris is gone. Between Mathurin and Nembhard,
that's hard.
That is tough. I feel like if I'm if I'm the Pacers, I think Nembhard is a better fit for what I want to do. But if I'm another rebuilding team, I'd really take a swing on Mathurin because I think he's still got very high upside.
Get Mathurin to a Heat culture. Like, I still believe in Mathurin. I liked him in the draft. I think I had him like at 6 right behind Sohan. But like didn't think they reached for him at all. And I still believe that there's a really good guard/wing in him that can contribute to winning. So I'd be trying to hold on to Mathurin, not sell low on him. But I'm also, and that's coming from a huge Nembhard fan.
Yeah, I had Mathurin 5. I had him over Jalen Williams, who I love more than my future children. So
the Miami Heat, LeBron's college team. All right. So this would be Pat Riley saying, "Sorry, Jimmy, it's a dog eat dog world." No, yeah. So Jimmy, but if it's not Jimmy, it's not happening because it's gonna be like Tyler Harrow, Jaime. I mean, maybe we could talk ourselves into something interesting if Jaime is involved, but Harrow, Jaime, maybe Caleb Martin's pretty good contract. You think he's going to stay in LA? It's a good party life. But any Heat thoughts?
So we all love Bam. You're going Jimmy going instead of Bam. Do you
Oh, I
need
mean,
him if
if the
LeBron's playing with Kevin Love?
if the Lakers say we're only doing it for Bam, I hang up the phone.
Good answer.
Bam is a better playoff player than Embiid.
Got
And
it.
when we did our start bench cut, I've completely ruined that episode by forgetting to mention the best one that I've still forgotten to bring up until this moment, which was the start bench cut of the non-Serbian centers, Embiid, AD, and Bam. And I was ready. This is before Embiid dropped 70, so it's even spicier now. I was ready to put Embiid on the cut of that trio. But that's just because of how important I think Bam is to a playoff culture. And like I've just seen him rise to the occasion now, multiple playoffs in a row. When Jimmy got tired, like Bam was their dude. He was the man in the room versus the Celtics. And it's not Embiid hate, like you said. It's literally just I think Bam is underratedly like a top 11 player in the league. And we glaze over it every year because his regular season stats never blow you away.
Completely agree. My only thing was that if you're going to pair up LeBron with either Butler or Bam, I think on the buyout market and I think in free agency, you can fill that rim running, rim protector kind of player. Not what Bam is, but give that kind of skill set more than a 3-and-D, even though Jimmy's not shooting threes until game 6 of the finals. A more perimeter based player in Jimmy.
But this isn't the Bill Simmons podcast where we say like Duop Reef gives you 78% of Bam Adebayo. So sorry. All right. The Orlando Magic, number 8. They have an all-star. He's 21 years old and he's better than Franz Wagner. Fuck you guys forever saying otherwise. Okay. Sorry, Max. You never said that. Max had Paolo number 1. I'm a fraud. In Paolo's draft, he had him at the top. Okay, the Magic. So this would be, it's got to be like a Franz and stuff trade. Like the Magic aren't trading Paolo. If as a Magic fan, could you talk yourself into Franz and contracts to get LeBron?
No, it doesn't make any sense for them at this point. Like I'm not convinced that's a title team anyways. If they essentially swap out Franz for LeBron, I think they'll be a very good team, but there's still a lot of offense issues with that team where they're not going to be a good playoff offense with the amount of spacing that they have. And LeBron would be gone within a year or two, either retired or playing with Bronny or something, where it just doesn't make sense for where they are as a team currently.
Can we keep Franz and Paulo and still make this happen? Because there's a ton of salary filler on Magic in Fultz, in Wendell Carter. You can give young players in Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs back. You can give every pick known to these to Orlando. You have the Gary Harris contract. You have the Isaac contract. Is there a world we can make this happen?
Listen, I have a rare mental illness that leads me to want to trade a lot of Hall of Famers for a package that includes Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs. It's just the Lakers aren't doing that. It's the Lakers. They can be like a contender with just 1 or 2 Woj bombs on any given night. And so like they're not going that far backwards. But I love Ant Black and he's been making threes, so watch out. Okay. Chicago Bulls. They just don't have it. And before we move on, actually, for the Magic, like, yes, one of these teams with a bevy of picks, if the Lakers truly bailed on this era, like the Lakers could accept like 5 awesome picks for LeBron. That is in the cards. That would be the Magic's path to getting him if you didn't want to trade your two-headed young core. But okay, Chicago Bulls, Jordan's team. Does LeBron get to wear 23 in Chicago?
I was gonna say that would be epic, but no.
Yeah, it's a no. All right. Atlanta Hawks. We've been talking about DeJounte to the Lakers. So maybe it's not to play with LeBron.
I was gonna say the same thing about Zach LaVine when we got to the Bulls segment too there.
Yeah. The Hawks are probably a no, even though I would trade LeBron for Kobe Buffkin straight up.
Kobe and Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, it's a no-go for Atlanta. The Brooklyn Nets. All right, before we do Brooklyn, Andy, you're all for a Brooklyn fire sale at the deadline, correct?
I just don't get anybody who's not. Like at this point, what are we doing? First off, you don't have any of your picks.
Mhm.
I hate the mindset where it's like, oh, we got to now compete. Like, compete for what? The 8 seed? Compete to lose in 5 games and win game 1 and sell ourselves on false hope. Um, I just think like you're building to get that hidden gem draft pick, whether it be at 11 or 13, just finding that guy. While you're doing that, Mikhail isn't getting the job done to get you to where some people think that they want us to go. You trade Dinwiddie, you trade Royce, you trade DFS, you trade Clax, and you trade Mikhail Bridges.
Mhm.
All the reports right now of the Rockets having him as their go-to guy that they want in the market. If the Nets say no to a package that includes Jalen Green and their own picks, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm with you. Sorry to ditch the LeBron theme, but like, would you guys trade AD for like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson? Like, just like everything good the Nets have?
I
Can they
don't
get picks?
I don't think so. I think the Lakers need AD to keep the ship afloat.
Yeah.
Even though the numbers are way better with LeBron on than AD on, like LeBron's at the stage where he's coasting, like that's not gonna do it for him. However, somehow turning Julius Randle's spot into Mikal Bridges and getting the last Infinity Stone of the Villanova boys would absolutely make my year for the Knicks.
Max, you can have him as long as I get a pick or two. You're more than welcome to have him. I think it will strengthen our relationship too.
Very good.
Okay. The Raptors were not willing to trade Scotty Barnes for KD, so I highly doubt that they're willing to trade Scotty Barnes for LeBron, and they are not getting LeBron in any other scenario. But you know what? Masai, I know you're plotting something. You've been quiet for a while. Um, any Raptors thoughts, or should we just move on to Steph Curry's future team? Okay. Charlotte Hornets, they don't have enough. It would, the Lakers aren't trading LeBron for LaMelo. Washington Wizards, not enough. Pistons, I mean, the Lakers would literally have to lose like their next 6 games to trade LeBron for Cade and whatever Detroit wants to be on national television again.
That would also be malpractice by Detroit.
Yeah, yeah, it would be insanity. But you know what? If LeBron goes to Detroit, Draymond is joining him there. That's a given. So, you're contending for a play-in spot right away.
Yeah.
Okay. To the West, we go to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who every smart basketball person would trade Cat for LeBron in an instant. Guys, talk to me.
In a heartbeat. I can't believe that Karl Anthony Towns made the West All-Star reserves today. I was going off on our Twitter about it. By the way, follow at Boris Dirk Pod. And the fact that Towns made it over Gobert, who is just clearly the second best and most important Timberwolf, over Mike Conley, who I would say is probably the third most important Timberwolf. And then also over De'Aaron Fox, who's having the best season of his career, averaging almost 30 points a game, has become a really good shooter. Over Alperen Şengün, whose stats are comparable with Towns and hasn't at least had the opportunity to disappoint us in the playoffs yet. And the list goes on. I think there were other snubs in the West as well, but the fact that Towns made the All-Star game was crazy. But if the Timberwolves turned the Karl Anthony Towns spot into LeBron James, I would go from declaring them paper tigers to declaring them the favorites, because an elite defense with LeBron James able to control your clutch time offense, because that's really my one concern with them, is I don't think their offense works well enough down the stretch to be able to really compete against the best teams in a playoff setting. If you take one of the best playoff players of all time, one of the most clutch players of all time, narratives be damned, and plop him into the Karl Anthony Towns spot, that is a finals team and championship team.
I mean, I'm picturing it right now. Fourth quarter, game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. LeBron's going full 100% on defense. He's got McDaniels to his left. He got Edwards going 100% to his right. Maybe Gobert has found a way to stay on the floor. Mike Conley gets a little smart still there. Like, that's a defensive powerhouse right there with 12 minutes to go. I don't know about the first 3 quarters, but that fourth quarter it will be game time.
And also, it really makes sense for the Wolves, even though they're not going to do it, to trade Cat for like some clutch perimeter offense because they also have Naz Reid waiting in the wing, or I should say waiting in the front court for more minutes. So it's like, you still have the size to compete with the bigs in your conference. Okay. So yeah, I think that's an interesting one. Another really interesting one, the 2 seed Oklahoma City Thunder. Who could realistically, if the Lakers decided this season's a lost cause, the Thunder could trade Giddey, and then Bertan's contract, picks. The Thunder have enough picks to get pretty much anyone in the league. The question is this where you use your bullets? Do you think they're so ready? And Giddey is a couple years away from being guarded in the playoffs, and that's a spacing problem waiting to happen. If you're the Thunder, do you go for a top 2 player of all time?
If you can turn Josh Giddey into LeBron James, that team is winning the title this year, I think.
If you're Rob Pelinka and you call back to Presti, you just talked about Giddey and the picks. Pelinka calls back. He says, keep Giddey. Give me either Chet or Jalen Williams. Is there any part of you that does it?
Chet, I do it. But I also I'm the asshole who had Chet number 3 in that draft and just worries about his long-term durability. J-Dub has been so awesome the last few weeks that like even the Chet Hive now is admitting that J-Dub is the second most important piece in Oklahoma City. It's crazy to say. I would think long and hard about putting a lot of my trade chips toward LeBron if I'm Oklahoma City, because I think the Nuggets have some of that post-championship hangover. The Clippers have James Harden and Russ, so I just can't call them anything close to a favorite. Yeah, LeBron in a Thunder jersey would look pretty sick. Kind of like Space Jam.
What does Durant do if LeBron goes to OKC and wins a ring? He might need to retire.
Yeah.
Durant, yeah. Then he goes to Chicago and wears 23.
Wow. Okay. So the Thunder are, because of the interesting Giddey fit, and how Giddey could immediately be the centerpiece for like a rebuilding team. And the way that Giddey isn't an ideal spacer next to all the talent they have on that team. LeBron to OKC is fascinating to think about. The LA Clippers, I think that this one is a no-go just because they've kind of put all their chips into what they have right now.
What about Denver? Is there anything there?
Wait, Andy, you have something on the Clippers.
I'm really trying to be spicy tonight. I don't know why. But speaking of spicy P,
yeah.
Paul George?
Yeah.
Like put LeBron next to Kawhi instead of Paul George, even though I think Paul's ability to shoot the 3 is a really nice fit next to Kawhi compared to LeBron's inconsistency there. But like, who says no to that? They go across the hall. It's an easy walk over.
Yeah. I mean, LeBron has been literally sending love letters to Ty Lue via post-game press conferences now for a few weeks. It's obviously Paul George is the name that comes to mind. Like it's kind of PG or nothing. And I just think the Clips are rolling so hard right now. They're not even going to try to fuck with that chemistry. But yeah, I'd rather have LeBron in the playoffs than Paul George. Goes without saying. All right, Denver. This would be like, I guess, everything on the team except Jokic and Murray, and the Lakers say no.
It would be like Michael Porter and KCP. And I don't know if they have any picks to trade, but it's not enough.
Yep. Sacramento, it's got to be one of Sabonis or Fox. I know it would be cool to say like Keegan and their picks, but yeah, the Lakers aren't even picking up the phone unless an all-star is being offered from Sacramento.
The Kings say no if it's Sabonis and Keegan, correct? Because I did one where the math works, where it's Keegan, Sabonis, and Davion for LeBron. You call that into the office right now. They let it go through.
I'm just going to let that one sit. Okay. Max has his face in his hands. All right. Phoenix. All right. Okay, we're on to Andy's favorite option of the night. I mean, just because you were said before, you were like, should the Suns and Lakers just swap their two superstars? Just a nice little factory reset on both sides.
Why not trade Durant for LeBron?
Who says no?
I
Who's a more valuable trade piece right now?
These Suns get their point guard. They get the point guard that they've needed in LeBron James. He plays the point for them. Book runs the two. Beal stays on the floor for one series and then comes back for the third series.
Durant is a better trade chip than LeBron, but LeBron, I think, makes the Suns better right now if you swap him in. At least he raises their playoff ceiling. On a night-to-night basis in the regular season, maybe Durant's the better option, but LeBron definitely raises the playoff ceiling if you swap him in there for Durant. And Durant and AD, KD, AD, there's something there. That could be future conference finals matchup. Who knows?
You could sell a lot of t-shirts, KD, AD.
Yeah.
Just for the thought experiment, would you rather have in a vacuum right now AD and LeBron on their contracts or KD and Book on theirs?
Probably KD and Book, just because Book is in his 20s and you'll have 3 good years out of both of them, I'd say, where you don't know that with AD and LeBron. And also, well, I was going to say that KD and Book doesn't hold your organization hostage as much as LeBron and AD does, but honestly, KD has been a pretty good hostage taker as far as organizations go. Andy knows all about that.
I know about it. I think just like the answer has to be KD and Book, though, just for Book's age.
Mm-hmm.
I think, contract wise, LeBron versus KD, but Booker's younger. Booker, I think his game keeps him healthier more than AD's does. So I would definitely go Booker, KD.
Okay. On to the 7 seed in the West, Max's most fucked up addiction. It's a love-hate relationship. Is there a Zion for LeBron deal?
Sadly, I don't think so. Zion's been looking better recently. I think his burst and his athleticism and his figure, dare I say, look a lot better than they did earlier in the season. He'd sell a lot of tickets. There'd be a lot of Zion Lakers jerseys around, but at the same time, I just don't know. Like he's a worse health bet. You were talking about Joel Embiid at 30. Zion's a worse health bet at 23 than LeBron is at 39. Like,
yeah,
I just don't totally see it. But I love the New Orleans supporting cast. If you were to magically flip BI and Zion for AD and LeBron, that team can 100% win a championship. Like they have a championship level 3 to 15 on their roster. It's just their top 2 to this point have not played like a championship level top 2. They've played more like, 2 of the 25 to 30 best players in the league instead of 2 of the 15 to 20 best players in the league. But yeah, I don't totally think that trade is there, though it would be exciting.
I feel bad leaving Reeves behind in all these talks.
Yeah. It's I also like the Pelicans hang up when the Lakers say EJ Liddell needs to be in that deal. All right. I just think it's interesting to think about because the Pelicans, like you said, have such an insanely strong supporting cast, but just don't have that bona fide number 1 playoff alpha, which is why I can't take them seriously as a contender. Even in one of their better weeks where they're beating good teams and out of the play-in. The Lakers just can't take that risk. On to the Dallas Mavericks, because Luka and LeBron on the court together. I said Halliburton and LeBron. I think Luka and LeBron would be like one of the most fascinating basketball experiments we've ever seen. But the Lakers probably say no because it's got to be like sort of like a Kyrie and Derek Lively type deal, and I don't think that's enough for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Lakers say no, but it's the best outcome for fans possible out of any of these trades. Like just seeing, as you said, Luka and LeBron together, it would be basketball would be broken like it was in 2014 with the San Antonio Spurs. It would be awesome.
Yep. All right. The Utah Jazz at number 10. Lowry, it just doesn't make sense for them. They'd get LeBron and suck. Even though AD and Lowry as a front court that's like about as good as it gets for Lowry Markkinen in terms of a front court partner. It's not in the cards. The Houston Rockets, who keep sniffing around for a splashy deal. I mean, we should talk, I guess, for this one. Like, if you're the Lakers and you're like 5 games under 500 and this season's a wrap, who are the first guys you're trying to pluck from the Rockets roster in a trade?
I think that this just goes back to what I was saying with like, if you're trading LeBron, you're blowing it up for a little bit and you're trying to get picks, you're trying to get young players. And I think this is the perfect team for that too. You can ask for a Jabari Smith, you can ask for an Amen Thompson, a Jalen Green, ask for their own picks. I am not saying Sengun because you just can't trade Sengun. I love him too much. Sengun you would ask for too. I just think that this is the perfect team for if the Lakers want to go in that direction that I was talking about before. This has that, just like the Thunder does too. Like just go get a young guy that you can build around, plus some more picks to go with that as well.
Yeah, the Rockets, aside from Şengün, who I think is pretty close to being a blue chip young asset, I'd say. Like he had a very good argument to make the All-Star team this year. Is he going to be a best player on a championship team? There are very few people who are, but can he be a guy who makes a lot of All-Star teams? Absolutely. So aside from him, I think Houston has sort of they're almost like OKC, but if all their picks were players that are kind of like intriguing young assets between Tari Eason, Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Cam Whitmore, Amen Thompson. I'd probably be the most interested in Amen Thompson. I like Cam Whitmore quite a bit as well. He was, I mean, I was lower on him than a lot of people in the draft process, but I still had him as a top 10 player, and he's certainly flashed just how insane his athleticism and scoring chops for his age are to this point. So, if it's some combination of like salary, which would ironically be Dylan Brooks, and, Cam Whitmore, Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, I don't know if that's quite enough because you don't have like one thing you can point to your fans and be like, we're done with the LeBron era and moving on to this. It would just be sort of like a hodgepodge youth movement of guys who are very interesting, but no like real blue chip asset.
But to your point, this is a team. If you want to rebuild and like dump your superstar for great assets, like the Rockets are like a top 3 team you're looking at right now. And if the Blazers could redo things and the Rockets hadn't signed Van Vliet, like you go to the Rockets and say, do you want Dame? And just give us like 1 or 2 of these really awesome young guys that you've got in your stable. Okay. Moving on to Andy's favorite dark horse playoff run in the works, the Golden State Warriors, 2022 champions, and the most insecure fan base in the league. Max tweeted today that Jalen Johnson is what people want Jonathan Kuminga to be, and Warriors Twitter is now sending Max pictures of his apartment and his loved ones. Max is standing by the take because Jalen Johnson just has significantly better feel than Kuminga, but it was the wrong week to attack these insecure Warriors fans because Kuminga's been balling out. Is there a LeBron to the Warriors possibility, or does it need to be 6 teams?
It doesn't need to be 6 teams. I found another easy one again, where you can go Clay as the filler.
Yeah.
And then like Kuminga, Moody, Pods, and Trace Jackson Davis gives you enough money-wise. I don't know if the Warriors are giving up every single young player like they are in that one for it, but you can find a workaround around it. Does Curry sign off on sending out his buddy Clay for who LeBron thinks is his buddy?
Yeah. You take emotions out of it. The Warriors are literally flying Clay to the airport in the team helicopter. But all the people who are smarter than us and more plugged in say a Clay trade just ain't happening.
Yeah, and I don't that's another one kind of like the Rockets where you're not getting a clear like I like several of the Rockets guys as prospects, I think more than I like Kuminga. Like I would probably take Jabari higher than Kuminga. I think I'd prefer Amen Thompson. I'd prefer Kuminga to Cam Whitmore, but they're kind of similar archetypes of players. Kuminga's really good. He's really athletic, but he's not a guaranteed all-star, I don't think, in the way that some people talk about him because I know he's been shooting it well recently, but I don't trust the jumper with the way it looks. And I don't trust the basketball IQ and general feel that he has for the game, which I think is a prerequisite to being like, one of the higher levels of stars. You can make an all-star team without a great basketball IQ, but you're not going to be like a blue chip player without a great basketball IQ. And so for that reason, I don't think, it would be another kind of quantity over quality type package for the Lakers where they don't have a clear thing to say, this is where we're going in the future. On the other hand, this is one of the few places where LeBron could like, really put his foot on the scale and be like, I'm signing there this offseason anyways, so just trade me there or you'll lose me for nothing.
Yep. Okay. For a second, let's pretend that Ja Morant was healthy right now, because we're moving on to Taylor Jenkins' Memphis Grizzlies. If you're the Lakers, are you considering trading LeBron for a package centered on Bane or Jaren?
I'm not doing it if I'm the Lakers,
Yeah.
but I think it's better than what you would think it is going into it. Like, I think Bane's awesome. I love Bane a lot. Watched him firsthand in the playoffs last year. I love Jaren. I think he's awesome too and could be a really good player. I mean, next to AD, that's a defensive powerhouse right there in the front court. But no, I don't think it's selling number one to the Laker fans to build a team around Desmond Bane or Jaren Jackson Jr. But it is exciting to see a fast break with LeBron and Ja Morant going together. Like, that would be crazy.
Yeah. Usher would be the biggest beneficiary. All right. My Portland Trailblazers. Scoot, Shaden, and contracts. It ain't happening. And now we are on to the last team in the league for the most bonkers episode of this podcast I think we've ever done. I don't even know if anyone's gonna listen to this shit because it's gone off the rails. But do the Spurs have enough outside Wemby to trade for LeBron James? Is Vassell, Keldon, all the other good stuff they have enough to get you LeBron if the Lakers cut bait on this season?
CD Sissoko straight up probably doesn't get it done, right?
No, but he moves the needle.
Yeah, so if it's Sohan, Vassell, Keldon, it's just kind of a worse version of the Houston package, unfortunately. Though I love Sohan, and I know we are proud defenders of Jeremy Sohan on this podcast, and despite the failed point guard experiment, are both very high on his future in the league. But unfortunately, outside of Wemby, that team is fairly devoid of anything that's a guaranteed, asset down the line.
Yeah,
It's not happening.
it's not happening. All right. Now that we've gone through the whole league, let's have a more rational conversation about the Lakers. What do you guys actually think LeBron is trying to do? Put on your LeBron goggles. What is he going for with the hourglass emoji tweet? Is it the end for Darvin Ham? Is it the end for everyone on the roster except AD? I mean, we've already seen D'Angelo Russell looking like Michael B. Jordan on the sidelines post breakup. Is LeBron trading half his team? Is that the LeFebruary that is upon us now?
I think the tweet was more player based than Ham
Okay.
based. I don't think a coaching firing is coming, but I also don't think that there's a trade out there, even though we thought this last year and it worked. And I'm as big of a LeBron guy as there is. I picked the Lakers to beat the Nuggets in the conference finals last year. Like, I don't want to quit on this team. I don't think this trade market has the answer for the Lakers. And I don't like watching LeBron go out in the first round. I want LeBron to be traded.
Yeah.
I really want LeBron to be traded. I think there are some really fun teams that could like make this more than just like a fairy tale. It would be like an actual basketball team with him on it. But I think the tweet and what he's going for is get me some more players. But I don't know if that answer's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you turn if you magically turn your bevy of either 3 no D or D no 3 players into like, to go back to the Nets, Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith, like maybe that's enough to around LeBron where you can sneak into the play-in and have a run kind of like you did last year. I mean, first of all, I don't understand why they don't play the lineup that turned around their season last year. I tweeted this the other day. I keep reposting it in replies, and Lakers fans are very supportive and are on the same page of why doesn't this lineup play more. But last year they made these trades. They got Jared Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell. By the way, they should have gotten Mike Conley, but it still worked enough with D'Angelo. And they played D'Lo, Russell, LeBron, Vanderbilt, Davis as their starting lineup the rest of the year. And it beat teams by over 20 points per 100 possessions. In the playoffs, they had to sub Hachimura in there at times, but I just don't understand how they don't ever play that lineup that turned around their season last year, which in a very small sample size has been really good this year too. But for some reason, they're wedded to this Taurean Prince idea, and Austin Reeves has, maybe not taken quite the step that people would expected after the playoffs, but he's been a pretty similar player to the guy he was last year, maybe worse on defense. But I think this team, as it is, like their biggest issue on a night to night basis is inconsistent effort. And this team trying hard, this roster without any changes trying hard, I think can still beat like 4 of the teams in the West in a first round series, like 4 of the current playoff teams in the West in a first round series. Like, they're not beating Denver, they're not beating the Clippers, but
They are beating Boston right now as we speak. The Lakers are up 12 in Boston with 9 minutes left in the game. I'm totally with you. I just on Vando, like Jared Vanderbilt can play on any regular season team of mine. It's really beyond me why he's averaged 20 minutes a game this year. Like, totally understand that since he's a non-shooter, his minutes will decrease in the playoffs. And that's matchup dependent. But yeah, it makes there's just been a lot of Seawood minutes, a lot of Jackson Hayes minutes that I feel like should just be Vanderbilt minutes. It's really fun to watch a 6'9" guy move that well and pick up small guards full court and play with the heart he does. He's got bricks for hands, and he doesn't make free throws, but he plays so hard that to me, Vanderbilt should be an automatic 27 minutes a night guy in the regular season for them, especially on this roster.
And especially with their biggest issue being like consistency of effort, because he's the one guy on the roster who is going to bring energy and effort every single night. And even if he's not the best offensive option, like having him in the starting lineup to at least set the tone of that kind of energy and intensity would I think just do wonders for this team. But like, I don't know. I still don't think this team is that far off from being in the playoffs and winning a first round series. Like, I think they can I think they're better positioned than they were at this time last year before all the trades, when they still had Russ on the team, and they actually had a worse record last year than they did this year at this time. Turns out the rest of the conference around them got a lot better this year. So it may not be enough for them to make up the gap to the 8th seed, but I still think with a couple tweaks, this roster can, win a playoff series. I don't think they can go on a run to the Western Conference Finals like they did last year. And at this point, as a basketball fan, I just want to see LeBron play meaningful playoff basketball. I don't really care if he's contending for championships. Like, he's 39, leave it to the next generation. But I just want to see him play meaningful basketball as many times as possible. And I do think that that is within reach for this team. And I don't know, it would leave a weird taste in my mouth personally as someone who, has really grown to appreciate and like LeBron if, he goes and gets traded to another kind of contender team. And I would like the last chapter to just be this Lakers chapter and have it end neatly, as opposed to like bouncing around to a few different teams at the end. But, he's also someone who's fiercely competitive. And if he doesn't like his situation, he's going to try to navigate to a new one. But I think just make a couple tweaks. I would be calling the Nets every day to see what Dorian Finney-Smith can be had for. They might not have enough, but that's what I'd be trying.
Andy's so given up on the Nets. He's like, take him for free. Let's
Take all of them.
Let's go get LeBron his 5th ring.
Take Kale and give me Austin Reeves, and we can have a little thing together.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, the Lakers are the 9 seed. More likely than not, they will end in the play-in. But if they win their play-in matchup and get into the playoffs, like, we're all picking them over the Kings in a series. We're all picking them over. I mean, a lot of us are going to pick them over the Clippers. Don't forget the bubble. I mean, this Lakers DNA still has some hope. I'm with you there. I just don't see how they can include Reeves in a trade and get better. Like, if the deal has to be without Reeves, it has to be like a D'Lo and Hachimura deal to go get someone like DeJounte, who I'm not even the biggest fan of. If they trade Austin Reeves and other stuff for DeJounte, like, I think they're even more doomed than they look right now.
I would take the Lakers. Let me tread some water before saying this. I would take the healthy trio of LeBron, AD, and Reeves against any team in the West except for Denver. And I will stand on that. But they need to be healthy and showing like 2 weeks of good basketball to end the regular season, heading into the playoffs, maybe get another shooter coming in there too. But I think it's just 2 different sports, playoff basketball compared to regular season basketball. Like, it's just a whole different sport. And I think that they're fit in that style of slowing it down, hunting mismatches, ending the late game shot clock with a Reeves pull up or a LeBron going to the free throw line. Like, I just think this team, I don't trust LA Clippers. I don't trust Minnesota. I love OKC, but they can be beat. Like,
yeah,
this team still has something.
And the Lakers have looked really strong in that OKC matchup too. I would pick OKC to win a 7-game series versus the Lakers. In my preseason, I had the Thunder actually beating the Warriors in that 4-5 matchup, which isn't going to happen now. But I agree. I don't think the Lakers should trade LeBron. But there are a lot of teams that have enough to get him. If we're just talking like 2K My Team trade machine stuff, which is what we've been doing today.
Yeah. I wouldn't take him over the Clippers or the Nuggets because I think I'm not taking them in a series where I'm confident that the alpha from the other team can match LeBron's level of alphaness. And I think in the West, the 2 players who I know can match that are Jokic and Kawhi. But aside from that, like, get the Timberwolves into a clutch situation against the Lakers where you got LeBron making decisions on one end and Anthony Edwards and Cat making decisions on the other. I know which way I'm going to go.
Yeah, like, sorry, Anthony Edwards. Sorry, Paul George. Kawhi is an interesting one. Kawhi and Jokic, let's put some respect on it. But Anthony Edwards, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, KD, Zion, Brandon Ingram. We're taking LeBron in a 7-game series over all these guys, and that's just really fun to say, given the mileage on the second best player of all time. Yeah. Do you guys have anything to add? Because I'm ready to get the fuck out of this shitstorm.
Yeah. I'm ready to go watch the Knicks try to beat the Pacers without OG Anunoby or Julius Randle or Quentin Grimes, which they're currently doing. But what it all boils down to is that LeBron is still one of the 3 top players you would take for a game 7 tomorrow, fully healthy. It's him, it's Jokic, and it's Kawhi. And I think that's the top 3 pretty clearly. And that's incredible that he's still at that stage.
I've still been casually referring to him as the second best player of all time. Is the Knicks win streak still going?
Yes.
Yeah. If LeBron ends the Knicks win streak in MSG tomorrow, I think I'm taking him over Jordan. But that's more about Tibbs than Jordan. This has been the Borisberg podcast. Andy, thank you for joining. Go Mules. And we'll be back soon with something that doesn't make your head hurt quite as much. Peace.